Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm Kori Maru, and in this video, I'll be sharing my first experience at Frosty Faustings 2025, a yearly winter fighting game tournament in Chicago, and of course, all the hype around Virtua Fighter. At this year's event, SEGA hosted a tournament for Virtua Fighter 5 RE.V.O to celebrate its launch, setting up a dedicated booth where both tournament competitors and casual players could try out the latest version of the game. The energy in the venue was very passionate, with dedicated Virtua Fighter players gathering to support SEGA's long-running 3D fighting game franchise. In this video, I'll be covering SEGA's booth setup, event highlights, and interviews with Virtua Fighter players from the community. Before we dive in, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for more Virtua Fighter and SEGA content. Alright, let's jump in. SEGA's booth had an awesome setup for Virtua Fighter 5 RE.V.O, featuring a huge display of the game's iconic roster and plenty of monitors and controllers for players to test their skills before the tournament. Players who participated in casual matches even received an exclusive Virtua Fighter pin. I got mine featuring Kage Maru, the Hagakure ninja. The vibe around the booth was nothing but positive. I saw veteran players enjoying intense matches and even newcomers jumping in to learn the game. One of the biggest highlights for me was finally being able to play Virtua Fighter with people in person again in a long time, since EVO 2018. I even brought my Steam Deck to play VF2 and 3TB with people. Seeing SEGA actively supporting the series again was absolutely incredible. Another highlight for me was stepping into the venue for the first time in my new Akira cosplay seen in the new Virtua Fighter project trailer, and I had the chance to meet VF5 RE.V.O's producer, Seiji Aoki, and challenged him to a match. He really liked my cosplay and my passion for Virtua Fighter. As a token of appreciation, he and the SEGA staff gifted me some exclusive Virtua Fighter 5 RE.V.O stickers. Frosty Faustings also had original Virtua Fighter and Sonic the Fighter's arcade cabinets, so I jumped in on those and I had some solid matches with other attendees. I even got a few win streaks in. Moving on to the big tourney, the Virtua Fighter 5 RE.V.O tournament had 256 players, and the top 8 matches were some of the best I've seen in a long time. The top 8 players pulled off insane combos, nail-biting comebacks, and hype pop-offs like never before. Some of the most impressive sets, in my opinion, came from GriffyBones, Tengu Man, Dark Nova, and Hima Jong. One of the biggest moments out of it was seeing GriffyBones making an insane comeback against Fence's Brad with Jackie Bryant, leading to a major pop-off. The passion and skill on display really showed how much Virtua Fighter still thrives in the fighting game community. If you're interested in checking out the full tournament, I recorded all the matches off-screen and compiled it in one separate video. Be sure to check it out with the link in the description. Now for the fun part of this video, while at Frosty Faustings, I had a chance to interview players from the Virtua Fighter community about how they got into the series, their thoughts on the balance changes in VF5 RE.V.O, and what they think about the upcoming Virtua Fighter project. Please enjoy these interviews with some incredible VF players.
Okay, I'm going to give two answers. My first Virtua Fighter was Virtua Fighter 1. I played that when I was a kid. It was just one of the new games to have. It was fun to have. I had a Sega Saturn, and I got my hands on it, which was awesome. But competitively and intentionally, my first game was Virtua Fighter 5 Vanilla. This was like 2007, 2008. I played that game because it's funny how I got into it. I used to play another 3D fighter, and I was okay at it. And then my cousin, he would challenge me to like fighter games and stuff like that, but he didn't want to play the 3D one, so he wanted to play another 2D fighter. So he would play that, he would beat me in it, and I would get mad. I would want to play him in a 3D one, and he would punk out and not play me in that. So we were like, all right, we're going to meet in the middle, and we're going to find a game that neither one of us has ever played. We're going to train for a month, and then we're going to play it. That game was Virtua Fighter. So another fun story, he beat me. He beat me, and I got so mad that I kept practicing, and I still play it to this day.
Yeah, the first Virtua Fighter game that I really got into was Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown. At the time, I was playing a lot of different fighting games. I had kind of gotten a new gaming PC somewhat recently, and I was kind of getting back into a bunch of fighting games after taking a break for a while. And Virtua Fighter was actually kind of one of the last major series I got into, last major fighting series I got into, but it quickly became my favorite. Playing a lot of Tekken 7, and I still have a lot of respect for Tekken. I grew up with that game, but I didn't grow up as much as Virtua Fighter. But as I learned Tekken competitively, I always kind of wanted it to be a bit different. And then when I finally played Virtua Fighter, I was like, oh, this is what I was looking for the entire time. And I instantly got really into it. And I still think Tekken's a really cool game, but just the way the mechanics work in Virtua Fighter just, for me personally, come together in such a great, cohesive way that it's my favorite fighting game by far.
So my first VF game was actually VF5, and then after I saw FS release, I decided to take myself seriously and learn that game and whatnot, because I was actually very horrible at fighting games. And I was like, I'm just doing this skip over and over. I said, no, let me just lock in on one and just play.
Ooh, my favorite character. Okay, from an aesthetic point of view, my favorite character is Jeffrey McWild. And he stands out to me because his story is just bonkers.
My favorite character is Jackie Bryant. I play him in Virtua Fighter 3, Virtua Fighter 4, and Virtua Fighter 5.
Oh, Sarah, because, well, she's just cool. John players are cool too, but Sarah's the best.
Bro, Shark, that's what we're doing here. You're picking people's whole guts out. Like, he hits hard, and it's because he needs a boat. How bad do you need a boat that you got to kick somebody that hard? That's just a hilarious storyline, and if you ever see any of his movesets, they're just as funny. Kenka Hook is funny. Destruction Wave is funny. Splash Mountain is hilarious, especially when you hit it on people. They just get anxiety. Like, he's a great character all around. But my favorite character to play is Taka Arashi, and probably for the same reasons. He's pretty strong, pretty goofy.
A lot of things stand out about him. He's very loud, he's very fast, he's very kind of rambunctious. I don't know. He's a very positive person. He's always in like a good mood. He's a little bit corny, I think you could describe it as, but he kind of wears it on his chest. You know, he's not self-conscious about it or anything. And I think he's an interesting take on the Jeet Kune Do fighting style, where you see in a lot of fighting games, especially because Jeet Kune Do was originated by Bruce Lee. A lot of characters with that fighting style are just kind of Bruce Lee type characters. So Jackie being this kind of like high-speed race car driver who also happens to be a Jeet Kune Do martial artist is really funny to me. And some of the way his playstyle works with the Jeet Kune Do style is funny because like he has like his eye poke move where if he counter hits you, you get like a big launch or whatever. And that's kind of a part of like the Jeet Kune Do fighting style where almost every other martial art poking people in the eyes is illegal, but Jeet Kune Do, they don't care, just do it, just poke them right in the eye. But yeah, he's got a cool jacket too. I love a cool jacket, and I love characters whose hair stands straight up.
On the demo, you had only two characters you could play. It was Sarah or Blaze, and what made me hyped up for Final Showdown was John. So I decided I was going to play John or Sarah. I settled on Sarah because my friend actually played John, and I'm one of those people like, I don't want to play the same character as my friend, so I said I'll just play Sarah, and it worked out.
I would say Final Showdown, solely because that was around the time that I was starting to come out of my shell. I had just got into college, played it through college. I built a community, I built a career, and a lot of that springboarded off of me being a part of the Virtua Fighter community and overall me just getting better at the game and becoming, one of the faces that you see in here when it comes to Virtua Fighter in North America.
I would say Virtua Fighter 5 Ultimate Showdown. I really like Virtua Fighter 3, Virtua Fighter 4, and Virtua Fighter 5. So kind of all versions of them. But 5 is the one that I have the most connections with because it's the one that kind of got me started with the series, and it's the one I played the most at tournaments. And it's kind of been the game that really got me into the community, got me meeting a lot of people, and now it's the game that's coming back and going to be at tournaments again. So yeah, it's definitely the game I've connected with most people with. So it has the biggest place in my heart.
Probably Final Showdown. I know this is probably the big gripe of the community. I'm not trying to, dog people for it, but we love our custom outfits in Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown. And like everybody knows, like whether you play Tekken customs or customs in any fighting game, when you have your own outfit, it just gives you that special power. Like you can see yourself. I have customs in the US, but yeah, that's why Final Showdown is. Plus, that was where I got to play like the most highest skilled Japanese players in the Final Showdown, and that's why I loved it.
All right, so I want to preface this by saying that I'm fully aware that what SEGA's trying to do is rekindle their excitement and regain their understanding of building a fundamental fighting game, and therefore we have something like R.E.V.O. Virtua Fighter 5 Final Showdown was in a great place when it was around, but It's clear that SEGA hears the calls of the fans and they want to make the new Virtua Fighter something special. So why not get the old crew back, take the framework that they've had out for years, work on that, and then figure out what people want and how to move forward with the next game by using this game. So with that said, I like the changes. I like them experimenting with things. There's been some nutty changes, some things that needed to go, and they went. 3 characters I got in mind, I won't say it because they got rid of it. But to know that they're proactive, not just proactively changing stuff, but listening to the feedback of the community and responding to how players in not just Japan, but in Europe, North America, South America, everybody is using the game mechanics. They're paying attention to all of that stuff. And they're listening to our feedback. That's vital because if the next Virtual Fighter is going to be solid, they're going to need to do that. And that's how modern games in general are really doing their balance patches. So I love it.
I think they're great so far. I think there are some great changes. I think it had been a while since they'd done changes, and it was kind of good. I like that they let the game breathe for so long, and the game was already still very balanced. Honestly, the most balanced fighting game I've ever played in my life, and I played a lot. But I think this most recent balance change definitely helped tweak it just to adjust it slightly, because there were a couple characters who were maybe a bit too strong, even though one of the characters who was nerfed was my boy Jackie. But honestly, I thought a lot of the nerfs were fair, and I thought a lot of the changes kind of made him more interesting in some ways. So yeah, I really like a lot of the stuff they're doing. The rollback netcode is especially amazing. They're doing some changes to the game that I think made it better as a competitive product, being able to more easily map the buttons at the characters' elect screen and little things like that. But yeah, no, it's great. I think the changes are great, and I think they are listening to the community well. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the full release.
I like that we got them because the game is 10 years old, so it definitely deserved it. And I like how they gave a patch when they saw a problem before the game released. Since VF is entering a new era, we, as the old players, have to get used to balance patches. But I just hope we don't have balance patches where they may release something and make it broken on purpose, or it's just too much. I just hope they still kind of keep it where, how can I say, I hope it stays in a healthy state, whether the new characters become top tier or low tier. Yeah.
Yes. To be honest, it makes it a bit easier. I play Takarashi again, pretty notoriously known for being a super heavyweight character with a lot of hit checks that lead to big damage. Those things are still there, but they're a lot more punishable. Taka takes a lot more damage now, but in exchange for that, he's a bit faster, and instead of him using a lot of hit checks to make things happen, he's more of a frame trap kind of character now, which is nuts. A sumo with frame traps. That's crazy. Interesting to see what they do with the balances, but it does change things a lot, and ironically enough, it lets me play more Virtua Fighter.
Yes, actually. Jackie's still pretty similar overall, but I think the changes impacted his gameplay in kind of a major way, in that he had a couple moves before that were a bit too good, and while they were good, I felt like they kind of pigeonholed Jackie players into using those particular moves too much. Some of those moves are eye poke, smash upper, mainly those two, honestly. There was a couple other ones that got nerfed. So while they nerfed some of his strongest tools, they buffed some of his weaker tools. So I'm happy to be able to use more of Jackie's hit more often. I think his moveset is more well-rounded, and there's more diversity in my options of what I can do. So yeah, it changed the way I play, but I think for the better.
Slightly, yeah. P plus K, I'm not gonna lie, before that move got nerfed, I would definitely say Sarah was a solid top tier, A tier character. And I would just steal game by just doing P plus K because it was just it was a broken move. After the nerfing, it adjusted too, but I still feel like I played the same, but I still feel like she's stronger.
You have to remember that Final Showdown came out in an older generation where it was more arcadey, accessibility wasn't much of a trending topic, so there's clearly still work to do as compared to other games that have been out and have been proactively, renovating and reinventing how they do stuff. But they'll figure it out. Right now, there's, stagger shaking is still going to be tough for a lot of people who don't understand the mechanic, but they'll figure it out. Still like the depth and the complexity of crouch dash, fuzzy garden and stuff like that, but I can understand that a lot of people can be trapped on that. I do like the tutorial and how they're going about teaching people some stuff. It's just going to take some time for people to get used to it. They'll get better at the accessibility stuff, but they're in a decent place right now.
I think the accessibility is in a good place. I think VF is actually pretty intuitive. Some aspects of it can be kind of harder to just grasp offhand or without reading something about it beforehand, but I think it's in a really good place right now.
I think it's actually really good. I had so many people who would say, I don't got a PlayStation, I want to play it on PC. So now it also has rollback. So all the complaints that people had, Sega came through. So there should be, in my opinion, no reason why people can't try it. And it's also only $15. So I think that the barrier of entry in terms of pricing is, and with the demands of the people, has definitely been free.
I think, obviously, there's going to be more newcomers coming around, but I think one thing that's a blessing is the fact that there's this stigma that as you get older, you become out of shape and you're not capable of competing. With Virtua Fighter, the more time you put in, the more grand mastery you put in, the longer you'll last and stick around. So it's awesome to see newcomers come in. You got like players like Killer who've been super strong, made an impact. Assassin, the whole Colorado crew as well. They've come in and they've been, making an impact. But then a lot of the OGs are still the OGs. And, the difference is they still play smart, but they know how to win. And that's a big deal. So, it still rewards people who have been playing for a long time, but it is still welcoming to the newcomers as well. So it's awesome.
The Virtua Fighter community is just honestly one of the nicest and most close-knit communities that I've been a part of. If you really keep playing a lot, you'll definitely start to recognize everyone, and I think with the potential to grow, that might change a little bit, but I think we'll still always kind of have that for a lot of the people that have been around. Because, some people drop in and out, but honestly, there's a lot of love between all the players and the VF communities. Yeah, I honestly, a lot of players just willing to play, players at all levels. There's not as much clickiness. There's not that much, ego prostrating and like really trying to prove that you're the best and better than everyone else. Everyone just really seems like they want to play. And that's one of the greatest things about it is a lot of people, almost everyone in the Virtua Fighter community just like playing Virtua Fighter, and we're just happy to play more Virtua Fighter with each other.
Well, first off, we're all fashion models, as you can peek the drip, We're all fashion models. I got my shoes off, so I'm going to get up like that. But also, we're just all funny, we're all welcoming. I remember I was playing this game when I was 18, I'm 31 now. And I would see the big names like the Shidoshas, the Adam Yukis, and I was fans, right? Same with Gentleman Thief. So I went from being fans to being friends, and that's kind of how it is. As long as you're cool and you love BF, people are very open to you and whatnot.
I think this is the first tournament that I ever got angry at. And it worked out because it started from an East Coast, West Coast beef that had nothing to do with me, but I'm from the East Coast and I'm hanging out in the West Coast, so I'm part of the beef now. And I remember going to that tournament with a target on my back because the East Coast was talking way too much trash. It just was the case. And when I got there, I felt like I was being they were playing in my face at the time, and they didn't think I was really that good. And I had something to prove. It was just me against them. And I remember, giving it everything that I got. That was the first tournament I ever won a medal in, which is why it's important to me. I got third, but I still got a medal. That was when I knew that I really enjoyed taking the game seriously.
I would say 2 quick ones I can tell you off the top of my head. My first one was the first top 8 I made in the game was at a Big E tournament. I believe it was Summer Jam 2022. And that was memorable to me because not only was it the first time I made top 8 in an offline major tournament, I think for any game, but it was on Jackie's birthday. It was on his canonical birthday. So I kind of felt like I had a connection with the character then and there. And then the other one was making top 8 at Combo Breaker 2023 when it was a main game. And that was really exciting because I got to be on stage. It was nerve-wracking. It came down to the very last hit. And then I popped off on the end. I had talked to someone before. They were like, what are you going to do if you win? And I'm like, I don't know. And then when it happened, I stood up and I just went, yeah! And I just embodied that Jackie spirit in that moment. So I always really enjoyed that. That's one of my favorite memories playing.
I don't know if I got a favorite tournament memory. Well, I'll say 2. I hope it counts. So when I was in Japan for Evo Japan the first time, I went to Mikado, which everyone probably knows about. It's the Japanese arcade. And they have their run the First to 5 Tuesdays. I went there on my final day to play, and I played 2 First to 5 sets. I lost both. I got close on 1. But I love how all the Japanese players, like Shiro, Virgo, I think Hanepeko was there. And at the end, they were like, oh, Kobe was there. He's an Eileen Kage player. Fernando, Sarah player. And they're like, Dark Nova, can you please speak on the stream of Mikado about how you feel about Virtua Fighter? I can't find the VOD anymore, but I spoke half Japanese, half English, saying hey, we all love the game. So I wanted to be that bridge of saying hey, we love this game outside of Japan and whatnot. That was probably my favorite memory. Tournament, I think I loved being on 5th place stage because I was just wilding out, just showing up to skirt, saying hi, showing my gratitude to the Sega team and whatnot. and I wanted everyone who was watching to have a good time.
Good story. I'll be honest with you, really. Shout out to R.E.V.O. They're here right now, running around and stuff like that. They're known for being able to create a stylish story, and I think that there's one thing Virtua Fighter never really gets the chance to show off is the story. There's a lot of great aspects of Virtua Fighter I love, but we haven't had a solid piece of storytelling come out in a video game format as of yet. So, I mean, there's a lot of things I'm excited for, but that's the most unique thing.
There's a couple things, but honestly, I'll just take whatever. I just want to see the new Virtua Fighter game. I'm so excited for what they're doing already and what they've shown me, so I honestly just want to let them cook. I'll play how they want me to play.
I hope Virtua Fighter kind of stays Virtua Fighter. I know people are like, oh, let's add meter and stuff like that. I say, no, for me, I don't want meter. I have faith that because they're trying not to do that, trying to do something different and whatnot. Also, personal thing. If Stella isn't Sarah, she has a different command list. I'm hoping we can just get Sarah DLC. And yeah, I just also hope that the game is something that all of us are going to be in love with because, Virtua Fighter has always been like a low-key game, but now that it's in the timeline and then like we've been gone for 10 years, maybe that's like, when's VF6? Well, here it is. So yeah, let's support it.
I'm not against a rework on the weight distribution in Virtua Fighter. I don't want it to be gone. I think that's unique. I know there's a lot of controversy based around that. I don't mind it being kind of tightened a bit, but I don't want it completely removed. And then, honestly, I mean, I'm okay with there being a little bit of flash, but I don't want any gimmicks placed in the game that leads to like the other opponent not getting to play. I think the beauty of Virtua Fighter is that after every exchange, it resets back to neutral. I want to leave that in there.
I'm open to changes, but for me, big ones, I would love the movement button back. Honestly, as like an option, but the movement button from Virtua Fighter 3 is like my favorite part about it. And I think you still could like have it as an option. And I think you could do some more interesting movement tech if you had the ability to have a sidestep button map as well. From Virtua Fighter 4, I think I'd like to see them bring back the sidestep moves. Moves where when you do a sidestep, you can press P plus K plus G and it does a specific move that you only have during the sidestep. And maybe moon jumps? Moon jumps? Oh, that'd be so funny. I know they're trying to go for more realism these days, but if they can do it like Virtua Fighter 3 where you have regular jumps and the option to do moon jumps, I think that would be hilarious.
I don't know if I want anything to be just like a thing. I guess I would personally like back that Dagger to come back, but at the same time, I'm understanding that VF is in a transition period where it has to keep up with the modern stuff. So I'm trying not to be all like critical about that stuff. I do think as they do more balance patches, more old moves should come back. Like I'm a very big fan of Flamingo Throw with Sarah. And there is that cool move with John. In case y'all know, I lost to a John player and Frosty Faustings GDs to Paco. But he had this move in BS5R where he could bound with like this crazy kick. If y'all played Tekken 6, it was Jin Kazama where you would do 1 and then you would do instant 3-3 for that bound kick. Yeah, he had that. So, yeah.
Just look good. I'll be honest with you. The OGs are already on board. We're kind of loyalists in that manner, and all we really want is for the game to keep its core identity, which is that, like I said, in my opinion, it's a very grand mastery kung fu style of game. Like every time you play, you can tell a story with it. I love that. So long as that identity is there, I think a lot of people are gonna love. A lot of OGs are gonna love the game, and then for the newcomers, honestly, they want to see a show. They want to see a spectacle. So long as they can bring that flavor, and if you saw the trailers, it looked like there's a lot of that style and flavor in it. And then make the game feel rewarding to the average player when they make the right decisions, like really make it feel good. Oh, it'll be great.
I think it can attract both veterans and new players by being a solid traditional 3D fighter, but also just innovating it slightly. And I think they're on a good track because we're at a point where I think a lot of the other major 3D fighters have a lot more like spells and magic stuff and guns flying all over the place, which is fine, but I think it's getting away from some of the realistic martial arts action that kind of was the beginning of the series. And I think Virtua Fighter excelled and kind of going going for that the best out of most 3D fighters, so I think they're doing a good job focusing on that, you know, more interesting dynamic blocking animations, more interaction with, you know, the stage geometry and the walls and whatnot. Maybe looking into some uneven terrain stuff. It can be a bit strange sometimes from what I played in Virtua Fighter 3, but honestly, I'm open to bringing it back and trying some new stuff with it, so yeah, I think they'll succeed by being a really solid 3D fighting game. They, I think, could innovate and add some new spicy stuff, but I don't think they need to add all that much, honestly. Hi, I'm GriffyBones, and I'm sponsored by Rise Gaming. Shout out to Rise Gaming, R-I-Z.
I think the graphics, and I've always talked about this in private, but as you know, most modern fighting games are very into having comeback mechanics, and there's nothing against that. But I feel like Virtua Fighter can just be the odd man out and to say like, hey, we're going to still be Virtua Fighter. And since many people always grab out, oh, comeback mechanic here, comeback mechanic here. And if they choose not to do it, that will allow people to be like, oh, well, there's still room for me because now there's a new game. There's no comeback mechanic, so there's going to be support. So that, I guess, section of fighting game players can have a way out if they don't want to deal with always comeback mechanics, right? I gotta give a shout out to my sponsor, the people I play for, Swampland TV, located in Seattle, Washington. We're gonna be having Tuesday sessions at the salon. If you know Tekken, we have Tekken Salon. Virtua Fighter will be there. I'm gonna make an effort to come out. So if y'all wanna come and play, I'm going to onboard people in the game. Shout outs to Pasadena, shout out to Team Strike First, Dr. B, Adam, Yuki, and GT and everybody, Kai Tone. Shout outs to KDQ, Rick. It was awesome meeting you, as well as Shidosha and the VF community, Japan and non-Japan, and also thank you, Kori, Maru, for having this interview.
And that's a wrap. I had an absolute blast at Frosty Faustings, and it was amazing to see so much love for Virtua Fighter at the event. Huge thanks to everyone who took the time to be interviewed, and to SEGA for showcasing Virtua Fighter 5 R.E.V.O. I got to see familiar faces and make new friends at Frosty Faustings. This year, I hope to attend EVO next, or Japan, to meet even more Virtua Fighter players and continue supporting the series. Virtua Fighter 5 R.E.V.O. is available now on Steam for a great price. If you love 3D fighting games or want to try Virtua Fighter for the first time, now's the perfect time to jump in. There's tons of community-made tutorials on YouTube and VFDC to help you learn each character's strategies. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, share it with your friends, and subscribe for more SEGA and Virtua Fighter content. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you all in the next video.